Hey y'all, welcome to Fixin' to Garden. I know this is a little bit of a surprise. It is hot outside, and so I decided to come to y'all today here on the porch and talk to y'all. It is finally here. It is time to show y'all the fall planting project install that we've been working on over multiple weeks. And I just wanted to take a second and just talk to y'all before I showed y'all that and explain a couple of things. I don't know if y'all caught the video about, I think I ruined or I failed at gardening for 2025, but in it I talked about hope. And that even though the garden was a mess and I felt like I had done terrible, that there's still a chance with gardening that you get to start over. And it is disappointing when plants don't turn out how you want them to, but as I've heard many fellow gardeners say here on YouTube, is that it really gives you a chance to start fresh again. And that's exactly the point of view that I want to take with it. So here is for hopeful 2026. I hope y'all are excited about this as I am. There's a lot of new for 2026 plants coming out for proven winners. I think we have 4 or 5 in this install that I can't believe I got my hands on. So I hope y'all have been following along and been watching the unboxing videos that we've been doing so that you can get all the specifics on these plants. I'm going to link that in the description below so that you can click over and pick up those same plants from online sources. Unfortunately, the local sources that I have don't have the plants anymore, but hopefully you can find them in your local nurseries. This video will have been filmed over several weeks, and so you may see different lighting, or I may even talk about the weather. It cooled off and it got hot, and it cooled off, and today, well, it's hot again. If it's dry and hot in your area, make sure that you're checking the moisture on these newly planted plants, but also be prepared. Don't allow them to get waterlogged, because then root rot has a chance of setting in. Now, we decided not to show y'all us planting every plant that we've gotten. As you can tell, there's been quite a few plants, and if we were to show y'all that, it would be a really long video, and this one's already going to be a lot longer than I really would like to put out. So what we did was we just showed you befores and afters of the plants, and there are some that we're going to show y'all how we installed them. Maybe there's something specific that happened in the planting process that maybe was a little different, but you know, you dig the hole, you make it a little bigger than your pot. We use biotone fertilizer on most of the plants except for sedums. They don't want any fertilizer, and then we water them in, and so that's just not something I felt like y'all would want to see. So I hope that that's okay and that y'all will enjoy this video. I am going to be talking a lot about the why. Why did I choose these particular plants? And maybe that can help you in your decision if you aren't quite sure what to plant in your garden this fall. It'll help you get in some ideas of what you may want to put into your garden for something different for 2026 as well. So follow along, and I hope that y'all enjoy it. If you do, please like and subscribe to Fixin' to Garden so that we can have y'all along for this journey, and be sure to comment, y'all. I'd love to have a community where we can all share and be encouraging in what's going on in our gardens. And this is a part shade area that transitions into full sun. And so I just wanted to get y'all a good before. We're gonna install it, and then we're gonna go through and I'll show y'all exactly what it is we installed and where. So in case you're interested in doing the same thing, or you have questions that you'll know what we're doing. We're also installing here underneath the maple tree, and this is what it looks like before. The next part that we're going to do is this over here to the right of the swing, and we talked about this some with the perennials needing to get moved about, and this was the cut garden here in front of me. I'm hoping that I can find little spots throughout the garden that I can put in some tall stem cuttable flowers for next summer, but right now we're just going to put in what we have. But we have a plant going to go in back behind here, and of course this basil will go away for the winter, so we'll see how it all turns out. I have my yard broken up into areas in my mind that I kind of refer to as zones. It's not consistent, but I'll try to explain it to y'all so that maybe it'll help y'all understand kind of my thought process in designing and determining which plants I'm needing to get and how I'm laying out the garden. Now, one thing I need to tell y'all is that And each of these zones, and the reason why I kind of have my garden divided up into multiple areas, is because I'm wanting to have a couple of things in each of the zones in order for them to kind of marry or look like they're supposed to be part of one big picture. And those things are that I'm looking for is everything has to have part of the color palette that I'm looking at, which is pinks and purples, and white. And my accent color is usually either yellow or peach. And I've gone back and forth, so there's sometimes yellow, sometimes peach. And then I'm looking for evergreen interest. I'm looking to make sure that there's something in every area that is flowering in all seasons of the year. And I'm looking for varying textures. So I'm looking for, thick leaf, feathery, spiny, upright, round, and you're kind of just going back and forth and constantly contrasting those things also to look for interest. So I hope that explains things well and what I'm kind of looking at and what I'm thinking. And then I want y'all to just kind of see as we've put in these plants how those things work out to create what I hope to be a really great garden. So right now this is zone 1. It's surrounded by the cypress tree, or typically I refer to it as just to the right of the swing. And I'm going to go ahead and come around. The sun's a little bright, but we haven't had any measurable rain lately, so the getting a good sunlight shot is just not really doable for us. So we've got everything put in. And I wanted to talk to y'all just a little bit about, why did I choose the plants that I have? And I try to do a layered approach. In the back, I am wanting taller plants, which is how I ended up with this hydrangea. I love hydrangeas. This is Quickfire Fab that I chose for back here. It gets 8 feet tall, so that's perfect for this back layer that we had. Of course, I want the blooms and the flowering because a lot of the things right through here, they don't really flower. And so I was wanting a little bit of flower color. And then I love the fact that this new improved version of the Quickfire Fab is not as wide. So that's going to fit in perfectly. I think it gets about 5 or 6 feet wide. And it's going to add some structure. So there's a lot of wispy around this, and so I wanted something that kind of was a little bit more solid and had some structure in order to add some contrast to the plants around it. And so y'all take a look at how we installed this plant. There was some specific things that needed to be done to it before we installed it. And if you look at the unboxing video, I'll put a link down in the description. You will see that this was almost a plant that we didn't get. We picked this up at a local nursery and it was in need of a little bit of rescuing. So check that out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and plant out this Quickfire Fab. We have a long stretch of no rain in the forecast, and it's hard to keep it the right moisture that it needs in the pot. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig the hole for it, put some biotone in, stick the plant in, then we're going to fill the hole up with water and then backfill it and then water it in again just to give it the best moisture to get started for its root to take off hopefully and do really well and it not dry out. And then we'll just keep an eye on it to see how much water it needs from there on out. We used to have a wax myrtle in this spot around this area. So that's what all these roots are that you see are from that wax myrtle. And we're out. Do we want to kind of cut into the side of that to keep the roots from...
I mean, they're pretty pliable right now.
Okay. Just going to rough up the bottom there instead of the edges. Alright, so now we're just going to fill in the hole with water. Real good. So even though I come and water every day, it was still dry. Alright, and then we're going to just backfill in the dirt that we've pulled out. There's stuff off on the sides just to make sure there's not any air. That's not a branch there in the front, by the way. That's a stake that they had with the zip ties attached to. We're going to take that out. We're actually going to use a couple of those stakes to help form the stems to come back out and not come back towards the center. We will, in the spring, give it a good pruning. All right, now we're just going to water it back in again. Not too much because we just watered it really good in deep. So we haven't had drip hooked up to this area, and it's dry, and root ball was kind of dry when we planted it. So try to take really good care of the area so that it has the best chance for success. So we're just going to straighten that up, stick in that stake that they actually had in the pot. We're going to use some of that landscape tape and just tape the stem to that one so that it sits upright. Alright, right in front of the Quickfire Fab we have Lemonjade Sedum. I tried to pick plants that, you know, were a little bit more hardy. I've said this time and again, so sorry if it's being repetitious, but that is what I was looking for, was some late summer bloomers as well as something that's a little hardy, because by the end of the summer they're looking pretty rough. And these Lemonjade Sedum are going to hopefully fill in this whole area and give us a nice shade of yellow. We're going to go and zigzag back and forth, so I'm going to go back towards the back here. This is the meant to be Nectarine Agastache. I talked about this in the last videos about did I fail at gardening in 2025, and I moved one of these. This was the like lone survivor of the Agastache over here, and y'all, want to update y'all, is it's putting on new growth in its new spot. So that is a really good sign that the plant's going to take. Hopefully it can make it through the winter. I have to hope that we don't have a wet winter, because they do not like wet feet. And then these are the 3 new ones that we ordered, that we put in, and they, if you go back and watch those unboxing videos, they are now putting on some blooms as well. So again, a really good sign that they like their spot and things are going well. Never do I expect this late in the season to get plants and have them bloom in the same season, so that's really exciting. But essentially I'm putting these here just to give them another try. I said I wouldn't give up on them because they're a really good plant. I think that we had just such a wet summer that did them in, and then I think they had a little bit of bug pressure, and so I decided to move them, give them more sun, hopefully in this spot, than they were getting. Unfortunately, and I guess fortunately, it's not a bad thing, but they are about the same height as this grass that I'm about to show y'all, so I'm hoping that it'll kind of, the grass not having any color and being a late season, I guess, coloring or blooming. Even in height, it takes a while for this grass to grow up, that I'm hoping that this Agastache will be an early season show, and so they won't really compete, but will end up complementing each other towards the end of the season. All right, and as you can already see a little bit in the frame, is I have 3 of the Apache rose Panicum grass. We transplanted this grass from another part of the yard and brought it over here because we needed some grassy textures. As you can see to the left, which I'm not sure this is gonna stay here, but this is a Chinese snowball viburnum. And so the things around it, we have the Quickfire Fab to the right of it. So this grass is just a varying texture. And so I'm hoping that Agastache has kind of got that feathery, wispy texture as well without it being a grass. And that this is going to love the sun spot because this is a super hot part of our garden. Ended up polka dotting it around a little bit around this Chinese snowball viburnum. So you can see there's one back there, and then there's one to the left of it. This one's, it's not doing as well. I'm hoping that it'll kind of acclimate, and that's Apache rose Panicum. If we come down a little bit, One of the things that I didn't mention was foliage color that I'm looking for in each of these spots. So I'm looking for a dark foliage, a silver foliage, and a chartreuse foliage, so that they can just break up all of the green that a lot of the other plants have to offer. And so this is a combination of Night Ember Sedum. These three, 1, 2, 3 in the middle are the Night Ember Sedum, and they were transplanted in this bed. I took these perennials and started grouping them because we had too many things in this bed, and then when I saw things that I wanted, I ended up having to polka dot them around other plants. But after losing some of the plants that we had, it gave me the opportunity, so there's a good there, but it gave me the opportunity to kind of group these plants so that hopefully they'll have more of an impact when they are in bloom or from across the yard. And so that's what's in the middle here. And then around the edge was not a plan, but I saw this back and black sedum. There's 2 here, and then the third one is over on this side. And again, they, coming on will form this really grouping of dark foliage that will hopefully give a great contrast. Their foliage as well being the really thick foliage compared to the wispy around it. So you can see the idea of, so right in front of it here, this is some allium, which has got kind of a wispy texture. So then right behind the wispy, I've got a really solid, thick, dense leaf type of texture. Hopefully y'all can understand what I'm doing here. All right, so this is the pink Gaura is not in bloom, and so it's part of this perennial grouping that we just kind of transplanted around. This one's still kind of polka dotted. The next one is right here, and then the third is back behind this Beyond Midnight Caryopteris. And then if I come back, I've got 3. This is the Firefly, Diamond, Yarrow, and y'all, it's just kind of struggled. There's one here, there's one back there, there's right here, and hopefully those will fill in. They get like 3 feet wide as well, so I'm hoping that they'll fill in and give a really great white flower. I did not have anything in this flower bed that bloomed white. Checking that box. So we have the white, we've got pink, we've got purples, we've got chartreuse. So y'all can see hopefully that I've got those things. I've got dark foliage. The blue or the silver is the cypress tree. The snowball viburnum is a spring bloomer. And then the bee balm over here is your summer interest, along with a lot of these perennials. So all right, y'all, we also have along this back wall is Baptisia, and it goes all the way around. Well, there's a break, of course, for the swing, but it's on both sides of the swing, and that is our very, very first bloomer of the season. Also wanted to point out, of course, our new plantings. This is our Glow Pop Japanese maple. There's one on each side of the swing. So this is the one on the right. It was in the bigger pot and looks really good. The other one we got as the complement to create symmetry on either side. It's not looking as well, so I don't know if I don't know. So we'll hope that it can come back from its shock of being in the ground and will look great. But anyways, so they're going to be the chartreuse color that'll be on either side of the swing. We're going to go left, and this is its own zone just to the left of the swing. And usually I kind of think that until the rose standard or this trellis that's got honeysuckle is somewhat that same zone. Like I said, it's not a definite plan here, but it's just kind of the idea. We can move into this next area that we were working on this season and putting in these plants that you've been seeing being unboxed. And you find this is the Miss Molly butterfly bush here in the back, and of course it's in the back because it gets 5 to 6 feet tall, so it'll come almost to the top of the fence and will really fill in this area. As you can see, we have neighbors that are really close, and we're not wanting to create a fortress of evergreens, but we are doing a mixed border where there are some evergreens and there are some deciduous plants that will only really create that privacy during blooming time. But this was one that I thought would be really great to put here because I've told y'all before, I think that butterfly bushes are very hardy. You can see in the video that you're about to see where we were planting this that we cut it back. I'll give y'all the update for up close, and you can see how it has started to leaf out all along the branches where we cut back. The moment it's hard, it is so hard to cut off the top of a plant because you're afraid that you're gonna kill it or whatever, but sometimes it is worth it. And this is one of those cases, like I said, in case we get a big storm, you know, just it was so top heavy that it's gonna make a fuller, healthier plant with us having cut it. So let me go around. There is one tiny little bloom, so y'all can see the color if you didn't see it earlier. So there it is. It's a really vibrant pinky purple color. We have one little bud right here. So it's not doing a ton as far as flowering goes because it's really needing to focus on getting its roots in the ground and established, and I am so good with that. I need it to keep doing that until we get a frost. But I wanted to show y'all this one in particular because we're going to do a few things different. This is the Miss Molly Budlia, or butterfly bush from Proven Winners. And you can see that the top of it doesn't look bad. We got this from Mr. Maple, if you didn't catch that earlier. But if you'll look here, there are some really, let me see if I can a little bit over. See how large those roots are? That I can't even get it through the pot. So I'm gonna pull it out of the pot so y'all can see that. All right, so I got it out of the pot and it's not quite as bad as I thought it would be. They are definitely full, but it had me worried just because they're kind of very, you can see all the roots right here at the top of the pot. I would highly suggest, there's a video over on Jim Putnam's channel, HortTube, that talks about root-bound plants in the pots this time of year and how to take care of those. I would highly recommend y'all go check that out. He has a really great information on his channel if you haven't subscribed to him already. I'll put the link down in the bottom. But so we're gonna make sure we rough up this root ball really good so that it'll send out roots and not wrap them at all. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the top off of this plant because it's kind of too tall for the size root ball that it has. So I'm gonna show y'all that. This plant gets 5 by 5 or possibly 6 by 6. So we're going to stick it back here in the back, which is perfect because it's right next to our butterfly weed is right here, right there. And so the butterflies can be born and then head right over here to get something to eat because they'll like that. And this is also a full sun spot. All right, so we're going to plant it a little bit high. Butterfly bushes don't necessarily like a lot of fertilizer, so we're not going to put any biotone in it. Even though it's a little early in the season to be planting, it's supposed to be pretty cool for our area over the next week, and it's cloudy and rainy, going to be that way for the next couple of days. So it'll give it a chance to hopefully get root in a little bit. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the hide off of this, but what I'm going to try to do is make sure that I leave some leaves because photosynthesis, you want the energy to get back to the plant, so I don't want to just take it off at the bottom. The plant is actually putting on some new growth down towards the bottom, and I'm going to take advantage of that by letting it know, it tells me where it wants to be cut at. So if you look right here, it's putting on new growth, so I'm going to come and cut just kind of right above that. And yes, it does hurt to cut off the blooms, but I think we'll have a healthier plant, especially with us coming upon hurricane season. So if we get some major storms come through here, that the wind won't knock the plant over or blow it over until it gets rooted in better. And that one's kind of growing into this one, so I'm going to go and cut this one lower. I'm going to leave some of that. Like I said, I want to leave some green growth on there so it can help photosynthesize. So this has new growth going here, so I'm going to cut right above it. And the same with this one over here. So when we get done, the plant definitely doesn't look that great, but I'm okay with that. I know that this is really putting in for next year, and I want it to be as healthy as possible. All right, and even though I said that we were going to get rain today, we're going to go ahead and water it in good. Mostly because today, as of right now, it's just kind of barely sprinkling, and we want the soil to make sure it's good and saturated and the roots are not dry at all. So we're going to water it in really good. I think we'll be good. So don't forget when you go to plant, even this time of year, to give it some water so all the air can get pushed out. All right, we also chose this Miss Molly to go in this spot, not only because it is a large plant, but that it grows really fast, and so it'll get on up there in the next couple of years as it gets established. And we didn't have a butterfly bush this size. We've got multiple butterfly bushes in our yard, but they're all the dwarf variety. I pointed out the color of this plant. You're going to see this more vibrant pinky purple a little bit more than I had intended when I started this garden, and I think that's what happens is we change our minds on what we like and what we want. And I love the pastels, and I don't want to get rid of the pastels, but I like these pops of color. They're really vibrant enough so that you can see them from across the yard, and I like that a lot. The thought was with Miss Molly and this double play doozy is that they would again marry the garden together by having the same really bright color and flowers and blooms, but then be in different areas of the yard so that your eye would carry around the yard. Beside the Miss Molly butterfly bush is going to be this set of 3. These are totem pole panicum grasses, and they get about 3 feet wide each as well, and so they get 6 feet tall, and so they're hopefully create this great, like I said, mixed border in the back of this flower bed. And then if you come down, we're going to fill in this area with a few things that we'll share with y'all in the future. But if you come right here in the front, we have Midnight Oil Bee Balm. So this has a light blue pink bloom on it. It seems to be doing okay. This one over here looks like it's been nibbled on by something. But you may say, hey, y'all planted it really close to the spirea, but the spirea is not staying here. So I'm hoping we can get the spirea out without disturbing the bee balm. But we chose this bee balm because, again, we already have some other bee balm in the garden that we've been really successful with. And so I was trying to find more of those types of things instead of having so much variety. Trying to find, yes, this works in our area and in our garden, and we want that here. All right, we're going to continue to move down this bed because everything else is going to change, and you'll see that in the next video. This is the Little Lemon Solidago or goldenrod. And as if you can see, we have a tiny little bitty bloom. So yet another plant that we've just put in the ground, showing a little bit of color. Nothing to write home about, but it's just exciting that you get to see the color so soon. So anyways, there are 3 of these right here in the front, and y'all, the color of the foliage is just so vibrant. A very nice color green. I think these get like 14, 18 inches tall. I can't quite remember. They're going to be a great front level and will hopefully fill in this area really nicely. And if they do well, I could see myself maybe getting some more. So we got these because, again, I was looking for some initial late season bloomers, meaning like they aren't re-bloomers or continuous bloomers. This is the first time we will see them bloom is this late summer, early fall time, and that's really what I was looking for to add to our garden, and so that's the reason why we got these. All right, from this area, we're starting to kind of move into our part sun shade area, and so this would be the next zone. And back here in the back, y'all, have always wanted an Oakleaf hydrangea called Gatsby Glow Ball. And what I thought was so great about this and why I needed this plant was because Oakleaf hydrangeas typically get really tall, but this new variety, this Gatsby Glow Ball Oakleaf hydrangea that Proven Winners is coming out with, actually is like 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. And so I thought it would do really great. In front of this, we have a This is either yin or yang viburnum. It's a viburnum Davidii, so it's a dwarf variety. And then we have back behind that is Florida Sunshine Elysium, and those both get really tall. So this middle layer, a lot of times I try to pick things that are about 4 feet tall in order to fill in. One of the things that I love about the Oakleaf hydrangea is its fall color. And so I put this plant here and wanted it because if you can look right here in front of it is Scentlandia, which is Itea virginica, and you can already see the little red, I'll zoom in there, the red leaves, that is its fall color. I wasn't sure, between the fact that it sends out suckers profusely, I wasn't quite sure I wanted to keep this plant, but every year I just can't get rid of it because I love its fall color, and it's kind of semi-evergreen, and so I thought that this Oakleaf hydrangea would maybe replace that fall color for me if I decide to get rid of the Scentlandia. So that was kind of my thought with that. Was I looking for a substitute in fall color? All right, so as we come back around, we'll go to the front of this bed, and we have 3 of the Firelight Tidbit. So we have 2 different sizes. These 2 we found at our local nursery, and then the third one we ended up having to order online because you couldn't find it at our local nursery. So we have different in size. I'm hoping that'll be fine. But as you can tell, it gets a little bit more sun here in the front of this border. So these are Panicum hydrangeas that we put in hoping that they could handle the sun or the part sun conditions that this area has. As y'all saw over the summer, we had heliotrope planted through here, and it really was too much shade for them. So it's hard to find in a part sun area the perfect fit sometimes. And so with that, and with us having this maple tree, which if you don't know, maple trees suck up all of the water, and so hydrangeas of course love lots of water, so we're going to have to make sure that our drip irrigation is on point, and if we're not running it, that we are hand watering these hydrangeas for a while until they are established really well. Mostly we were wanting something that could handle the sun. If you go around the edge of this border, all of the plants that are along this edge are about 2.5 to 3 feet tall at maturity, and so we were hoping that would kind of create a little bit of a hedging where they all are the same. All right, so back behind there we planted some of this Dolce Spearmint Heuchera. We planted these here not intentionally. Well, I mean, we put them in the ground intentionally, but our thought was that we would put them actually beneath this bench in order to help suppress weeds. But our biggest problem isn't weeds, it's tree saplings from the oak tree. Drops its acorns, which creates little oak tree saplings all throughout this garden, and if you look closely you'll see them everywhere. They're really hard to get on top of, and it is more difficult to get them when they're in between plants, because you end up really disrupting a lot of the roots of the plants. And so we had thought, like I said, that we would put those there, but then when given it a little bit more consideration, that it would be really difficult to get the saplings out from underneath or in between these plants, because we wouldn't see them until they were a little bit more established. And so you can see that they're here in a row, but it's divided by, we have a walking path through the middle here. So that's kind of the way this garden bed looks, is that it's all, I consider it all one big bed, but it can be broken up by this path. So from this angle and from the straight on angle, I'm kind of wanting it to look cohesive, even though it's divided up. All right, so we're gonna walk up this path so y'all can get a closer look at this hydrangea that I planted here. This is the new one. This is the Let's Dance Skyview. It is a macrophylla hydrangea. I have to be real careful with the macrophylla hydrangeas, though I love their blooms probably the best out of almost all of the hydrangeas. They don't love our heat and humidity. I saw on Proven Winner's website that they recommended this Let's Dance Skyview hydrangea as one that tolerate the heat and humidity. And so when I saw it at a local garden center in a nice 3-gallon size, I thought I had to give it a try. As you can see, even though it hasn't been in the ground but a short period of time, it is already getting some black spot. That's normal for us, especially this time of year. But this one is a continuous bloomer, and that was my other really big reason for choosing this one. I wouldn't waste my time on a macrophylla hydrangea for us if it was only gonna bloom the one time in the spring. So I really want something that is reblooming or a continuous bloomer, as it's worded here. And y'all, it is living up to its name, and that it's already on some buds as well. So I'm expecting by the end of the season that this hydrangea as well, this will end up with some more color. And y'all look, I told y'all these stupid stink bugs. Did you see him? He saw me and he went to hide. They're everywhere, and I just, terrible. What on earth, y'all? This bird just landed in our backyard. It is so big, I don't know what it is. My husband told me he saw one the other morning. I thought he must be still dreaming. But as we were recording this video, this bird, I heard a flutter behind me, and I turned around and he's just standing in our yard. What is that? Does anybody know what kind of bird that is? He's just walking around like he owns the place and lives here.
Under the gotcha.
Oh, our dog. Y'all, our dog's on the back porch. Let's see if I can y'all see her? She's like, what is that in my backyard? I can't believe she hadn't run out here to get it. She's definitely checking it out.
I think it's checking her out.
Oh, do you think he sees her? Or she? Y'all, this is so bizarre. Nature is so awesome. And you know, like, we spend most of our time prior to starting this garden inside. And I don't love the heat and humidity, but I love little moments like this that we would miss it if we weren't standing out here. Because as soon as we would open the door to come outside, the bird would just fly away. Or it would go before we even had a chance to know it was back here. Y'all, we are in Georgia 8B. I have no idea. I've never seen a bird like this before. I wonder if he's lost. I'll let y'all see our dog again.
She's watching it.
She's a lab, by the way, and is being very good by not coming and chasing that bird. Sorry for all the zooming out. We're not close, so we don't want to scare anything away.
Standing on one foot.
I don't know whether to quit recording because this is boring, but this is absolutely mind-blowing for me. I don't know how much of this y'all want to see though, so you can fast forward. I'll put a bookmark to the next part where we get into the under the pecan tree bed. He's just walking on up in the flower bed though. Oh, our dog is growling at it. We're gonna go and put the dog inside so that she doesn't take a fancy after chasing this bird and it be a catastrophe. But again, it heard the dog growling at her and didn't take off flying. I thought it would. But instead kind of came a little bit closer towards her. All right. I thought it would fly off, but I'm gonna keep going. So I just thought y'all would want to see something just majestic and magical as whatever this is. He opened his mouth up. It definitely seems like it's looking for something in particular. I hope it's not our monarch caterpillars. All right, and then there's another zone that I'm gonna kind of zoom past because y'all, that's the worst part of our yard. And we're gonna have to take care of that eventually, but not today. I had to back up because I forgot this little Urge to Splurge Euphorbia that we planted here as part of our unboxing. So this is as we were leaving the part shade area. This does get some nice hot afternoon sun, so I'm hoping that it can tolerate that. And you can see the Gomphrena won't be there whenever we, you know, as it grows and fills in. But this stays low to the ground but gets nice and wide, so I'm hoping that it'll fill in all of this area. And of course the pot there will not be there either. Those are all just temporary things. So that is Urge to Splurge Euphorbia, and we picked it because it's supposed to be super hardy. So I've heard that this plant, because of its poisonous nature, is not as appealing to bugs as some other ones. So I'm hoping that will deter them, and that this will then be a good choice for this area. And we're gonna move back over here. We have a big pecan tree in the neighbor's yard that creates all of this dappled sun. And so this was the other areas. We freshened up and added some sedum. So this is Autumn Joy sedum. We also moved, I've told y'all in the in full bloom video, that's double scoop bubblegum echinacea that we moved to the end. It does not like its spot still. We have moved some Gaura to the back. It's not doing very well, but if you'll stay tuned, I'll show y'all what we decided to do with that. Here we have a Shasta viburnum. This bed was created just for this plant, and I'll try to zoom out. I don't show this too often, but the thought is that we would kind of mirror either side of the viburnum with something very similar. So we have big clumps of Autumn Joy sedum on either side of this viburnum. We didn't have a whole lot on this knee wall area, which is our back of our house here, but we did have the Funyella Clematis, and it's the why is, well, simply the clematis that we had here before wasn't doing very well, and I wanted to try another clematis, and I liked that it was yellow. It's a really light yellow with a little bit of a pinky color to it, and so I thought it would really complement the colors because we already have, this is Bloomstruck, Macrophylla hydrangea. It's got like a purple and blue, the phlox in the front's a pink, and then of course right now we have salvia that's white, so we thought that the yellow would be really a great contrast and added to this grouping of plants here. Don't forget, with your clematis, they like cool feet, so you want some type of plant to give the root system shade, and then it likes its flowers and the top to be in the sun. So this ends up being kind of an ideal location for that. Well, that was a lot of plants. So if y'all made it to the end, thank y'all so much for sticking around and seeing everything that we had planted out for this fall project. And the good news is that that's not all. We have some more things to plant. A lot of transfer still needing to happen. That's going to be kind of the next phase of this project is going to be transferring a lot of the perennials and plants that we have to other areas of the garden to make room or to allow the plants to maybe have more successful spots. Maybe they're just not really working in the spot they're in. So I hope that y'all will stay tuned and are looking forward to getting to see the next phase of this project. Y'all have a great day and we'll see y'all soon.